14 aliens laughed at the human's backpack. Dawa Sherpa sat alone in the mess hall of the orbital station, eating something that tasted like wet cardboard. Through the viewport, the desert planet Araketh rotated slowly below. Orange sand covered everything. No oceans, no forests, just endless dunes and the promise of death. The other candidates for the Ranger selection trials gathered in groups around her. They compared equipment. They showed off genetic modifications. They bragged about survival training on hostile worlds. Dawa had a knife, a thermal blanket, and a small water filter. That was all that a shadow fell over her table. She looked up to see a massive creature with 4 arms and skin like gray stone. He stood nearly 3 meters tall. His name was Bryn, and he was a Gorvathi warrior. "You are the human," he said. His voice rumbled like distant thunder. "I am," Dawa replied. Bryn sat down across from her. The bench groaned under his weight. "I have read about your species. You come from a dangerous world. Predators, extreme weather, volcanic activity. Yes. Then why do you carry so little?" He gestured at her small backpack. "The Delphrani candidate has a portable shelter that can withstand atmosphere pressure changes. The Salathi brought medical nanobots. The Kathrani have exoskeletons with built-in filtration systems." Dawa smiled. "My grandmother taught me something when I was young. She said the mountain does not care what you carry. It only cares what you notice." Bryn tilted his massive head. "I do not understand." "You will," Dawa said, "or you will not. The desert will decide." A chime sounded through the station. All candidates turned toward the main display screen. An insectoid creature appeared on the hologram. Trial Overseer McCory. He had 6 legs, compound eyes, and a voice like clicking stones. "Candidates," McCory announced. "Welcome to the Ranger Selection Trials on Araketh. You will be deployed to the Meridian Wastes in 1 hour. Your objective is simple. Survive 72 hours and reach your designated extraction points. Succeed, and you earn the right to serve as Coalition Rangers. Fail, and you die." The room went quiet. Current atmospheric readings show a Category 2 storm system forming in the eastern quadrant. McCory continued. "This is normal for Araketh. Your equipment should handle it easily. Any questions?" A tall amphibian raised his webbed hand. "What about the spine mother cacti? The database warns us to avoid them." McCory's compound eyes gleamed. "Correct. The spine mother cacti are extremely dangerous. Their sap is toxic to most known species. Their interiors are humid and filled with biological compounds that can cause respiratory failure. Avoid them at all costs." Dawa listened carefully. She noted something interesting. McCory said the sap was toxic to most species. Not all species. The briefing ended. Candidates moved toward the deployment bay. Bryn walked beside Dawa. "I hope we are placed near each other," he said. "I would like to see how a human survives." "You might be disappointed," Dawa replied. "We are not very impressive to look at." Bryn laughed. The sound echoed off the metal walls. "Impressive is not the same as effective. My grandfather told me stories about small creatures that survived when giants fell. I think humans might be such creatures." They reached the deployment bay. 15 drop pods waited in a row. Each one was assigned to a specific candidate and would land in a different zone of the Meridian Wastes. Dawa climbed into her pod. The interior was cramped and smelled like recycled air. A harness wrapped around her shoulders automatically. "Good luck, human," Bryn called from his own pod. "Good luck, Bryn." The bay doors opened. Araketh filled the viewport. Orange and red and brown, like a wound in space. Beautiful and terrible at the same time, Dawa's pod launched. The force pressed her into her seat. Through the small window, she watched the other pods scatter across the sky like seeds thrown by a farmer. As she descended, something caught her attention. The light on the horizon was wrong. It bent strangely, creating a shimmer that most sensors would miss. But Dawa had grown up in the Himalayas. She had seen that kind of light before. That a team in a storm was coming. Not a Category 2 storm. Something much worse. Her pod hit the sand with a hard thump. The harness released. Dawa grabbed her backpack and climbed out into the copper-colored twilight. The heat hit her like a wall. 50 degrees Celsius at least. Her skin immediately started to sweat. Good. That meant her body was working properly. She looked around. Dunes stretched in every direction. In the distance, she could see dark shapes rising from the sand. Massive columns, like giant fingers pointing at the sky, to spine mother cacti. Every other candidate would avoid them. Every database said they were deadly. Every piece of training material warned against going near them. Dawa started walking toward them. Behind her, the horizon shimmered with that strange bent light. The storm was coming. She could feel in her bones, the same way her grandmother had felt avalanches before they started. 72 hours to survive. She had a feeling most of them would not make it that long. Something was wrong with the animals. Dawa noticed it within the first hour of walking. Small creatures with too many legs were running across the sand. Not toward water, not toward food. They were running toward holes in the ground. And they were sealing those holes behind them. She stopped and crouched down to watch. A creature the size of her fist was using its own body fluid to cement sand around a burrow entrance. It worked with desperate speed. When it finished, the burrow was completely hidden. Dawa had seen this behavior before. In Nepal, the mountain animals knew when bad weather was coming. They would hide days before any storm appeared on the forecast. Scientists called it instinct. Her grandmother called it wisdom. The animals of Araketh were hiding. That meant something terrible was coming. Her communication device crackled. Voices from other candidates filled the air. "This heat is nothing," a Delthrani candidate boasted. "My species evolved in volcanic regions. I have already reached my first checkpoint. The human is probably dead already." Someone else laughed. "Did you see her equipment? A knife and a blanket. How primitive." Dawa turned off her communicator. She did not need to hear their voices. She needed to think. The spine mother cacti were closer now. The largest one stood nearly 40 meters tall. Its surface was covered in spines the length of her arm. In the fading light, she could see a faint glow coming from inside the plant. Bioluminescence. She reached the base of the giant cactus and pressed her hand against its surface. The skin was thick and rubbery, and it was cool, not warm like the air around it. The cactus was somehow maintaining a different temperature than its environment. That meant it had an internal system, a way to regulate itself, a way to survive. Dawa walked around the cactus until she found a spot where the skin looked slightly thinner. She pulled out her knife and began to cut. The blade sliced through the outer layer slowly. A thick amber sap oozed from the wound. It smelled sweet and sharp at the same time. Dawa's eyes watered. Her throat itched, but she did not feel sick. She did not feel like she was dying. The database said this sap was toxic. Maybe it was toxic to other species. But humans had evolved eating peppers that burned their mouths. Humans had evolved drinking alcohol that poisoned other animals. Humans had evolved processing things that should have killed them. She cut a hole large enough to crawl through. Inside, the cactus was hollow. The walls glowed with soft blue light. Pools of amber sap collected at the bottom. The air was humid and heavy, but breathable. It was like stepping into another world. Dawa climbed inside and began sealing the entrance behind her. She cut sections of cactus skin and pressed them over the hole. The sap acted like glue, holding everything in place. Within minutes, she had created a sealed chamber. Outside, the sky was turning dark. The first stars appeared. The temperature would drop soon, going from deadly hot to deadly cold within hours. Inside the cactus, the temperature stayed the same. Comfortable. Survivable. Dawa wrapped herself in her thermal blanket and lay down. The sap pools glowed around her. Strange sounds echoed through the cactus walls. The planet was alive, even if it looked dead. Her communicator crackled again. She turned it on to listen. Weather update from Orbital Command. Overseer McCory announced. The storm system has been upgraded to Category 4. All candidates are advised to seek shelter immediately. Repeat, seek shelter immediately. Category 4. Dawa remembered the briefing. Category 2 was manageable. Category 4 meant winds that could strip flesh from bone. It meant sand moving so fast it could cut through metal. More voices came through the communicator. "I'm setting up my portable shelter now," the Delthrani said. His voice was less confident than before. My exoskeleton will protect me, a Kathrani claimed. But there was fear underneath the words, then Bryn's voice. Deep and worried. Human? Dawa? Do you copy? I am concerned about your position. My sensors show you near the spine mother grove. Please respond. Dawa almost answered, but she was already falling asleep. The humidity of the cactus wrapped around her like a warm blanket. The bioluminescent glow was soft and calming. Her body knew what it needed. Rest. Dawa, please respond, Bryn said again. The storm is coming. You need real shelter. Those plants will kill you. She closed her eyes. Outside, the wind began to pick up, then started moving across the dunes. The first edge of the storm touched the meridian wastes. Inside the cactus, Dawa slept peacefully. Her heart rate slowed. Her breathing became deep and regular. Her body conserved energy automatically. She had done everything she could. Now she had to trust the desert. The last thing she heard before sleep took her completely was McCory's voice on the communicator, tight with surprise. Update from Orbital Command. Storm upgraded to Category 5. This is unprecedented. Repeat, this is unprecedented. All candidates must take maximum shelter precautions. This is not a drill. The cactus walls groaned softly. The sap pools glowed brighter. The plant was preparing for the storm too. Dawa slept on. The colors on the holographic display changed from yellow to orange to red. Overseer McCory stood frozen in the Orbital Command Center. His compound eyes watched the storm system grow on the screen. It was expanding faster than any weather pattern in recorded Araketh history. Category 5 is now Category 6, a technician reported. Her voice trembled. That is impossible, McCory said. Our models do not go above Category 5. The storm does not care about our models, Overseer. McCory's legs clicked against the floor. He had overseen 17 Ranger selection trials on this planet. He had seen candidates die from heat, from predators, from dehydration. But he had never seen anything like this. The storm was alive. It moved across the meridian wastes like a hungry animal. Winds reached speeds of 400 kilometers per hour. Sand particles became projectiles capable of penetrating standard survival gear. Communications began failing one by one. This is Candidate Voreth. My shelter is collapsing. The sand is cutting through the walls. I need immediate extraction. Please respond. Please respond. Static. Orbital Command. This is Candidate Yilik. My exoskeleton has been breached. I cannot see. I cannot breathe. Help me. Someone help me. Static. My filtration system is failing. The sand is everywhere. It is inside me. It is inside me. Static. McCory watched the biosignature monitors. 14 green lights showed 14 living candidates. As he watched, one turned red, then another, then 3 more at once. Give me rescue shuttles, he ordered. Impossible, sir. No craft can fly in those conditions. Then we have to do something. There is nothing to do, Overseer. We can only watch. On the surface of Araketh, the world had become a screaming nightmare. The sky disappeared behind walls of moving sand. Day became night. Night became something darker. The sound was beyond description. It was the sound of a planet trying to tear itself apart. Bryn, the Gorvathi warrior, had abandoned his shelter. His thick hide could withstand tremendous punishment, but even he felt the sting of 1 billion sand particles hitting his skin every second. He moved through the storm blindly, trusting his internal compass. He was trying to reach the Spine Mother Grove. He was trying to reach Dawa. The human had not responded to any communication. Her biosignature still showed on the monitors, but Bryn did not trust technology right now. Technology was failing everywhere. Only flesh remained. Human, he called into the wind. His voice disappeared instantly. Dawa, where are you? He did not see the dune collapse until it was too late. Tons of sand shifted and rolled over him. He fell. He tumbled. He lost all sense of direction. When he finally stopped moving, he was half buried. His 4 arms pushed against the sand, but more kept falling. His lungs burned. His eyes filled with grit despite their protective membranes. He thought about his grandfather's stories. Small creatures surviving when giants fell. Maybe the human was one of those creatures. Maybe she was already dead. Either way, Bryn could not help her now that he stopped struggling. Inside the spine mother cactus, Dawa woke briefly. The sound from outside was terrible. It sounded like 1,000 trains running at once. The cactus walls shook and groaned. But they held. She looked around. The sap pools were glowing brighter than before. The plant was stressed, responding to the storm with increased biological activity. The humidity inside had risen even higher. It was hard to breathe, but the air was clean. No sand particles reached her. Something dripped on her shoulder. More sap. The cactus was sealing small cracks, healing itself as the storm tried to tear it open. 40 million years of evolution had prepared this plant for exactly this moment. The spine mother cactus had survived storms like this before. It knew what to do. Dawa closed her eyes again. She trusted the plant. She trusted the desert. She had done what humans always did. She had found something that knew more than she did, and she had put her faith in it. Outside, the storm raged on. In orbital command, McCory counted the biosignatures. 7 green lights had become 6. 6 became 4. 4 became 2, then 1. Overseer, the technician whispered, "We have lost all candidates except one." McCory looked at the display. 1 green light remained. The human. Her vitals were steady. Heart rate, 52 beats per minute. Blood oxygen, 94%. Body temperature, normal. "That is impossible," McCory said. She had no shelter. She was in the spine mother grove. "Her signal is coming from inside," one of the cacti, sir. "Inside?" "The sap would have killed her." "Apparently not." McCory stared at the screen. The storm still raged. 31 hours had passed since it began. The worst of it was finally moving away. Recovery teams would deploy at dawn. He zoomed in on the human's location. A single spine mother cactus stood in a field of destruction. Everything around it had been flattened or buried. But the cactus remained standing, scarred, damaged, but alive, and inside it the human slept. Her status indicator blinked steadily. Asleep, resting, conserving energy while a Category 7 storm killed everything around her. "What kind of species does this?" the technician asked. McCory did not have an answer. Dawn came to Eriketh like blood spreading across cloth. The meridian waste had been transformed. Dunes that had stood for centuries were gone. New dunes had risen in their place. Landmarks that appeared on every map had vanished completely. The desert had rewritten itself overnight. Search and rescue teams deployed from the orbital station as soon as the winds dropped below safe limits. 12 shuttles spread across the wasteland, following the last known coordinates of the candidates. The first body was found within an hour, a Delthrani candidate. His portable shelter had collapsed under the pressure of the sand. The advanced technology had been torn apart like paper. Inside, his body was curled in a protective position. He had died, trying to shield his vital organs. The second body was worse. A Kathrani candidate. Her exoskeleton had been breached in 17 places. Sand had filled her lungs, her blood, her brain. She had died slowly, then 3 more, then 4, then 7. Each discovery brought more silence to the communication channels. No one wanted to speak. No one wanted to describe what they found. Shuttle 9 reached the Spine Mother Grove at midday. The pilot stared through her viewport in disbelief. A single cactus stood alone in a field of devastation. The sand around it was completely flat, scoured down to bare rock in some places. But the cactus remained upright. Its surface was scarred and damaged. Some of its spines had been torn away. But it was alive. "Orbital command," the pilot reported. "I have reached the human's last known position. The spine mother cactus is intact. I am detecting 1 biosignature inside." "Confirmed," McCory's voice replied. "The human is still alive. Approach with caution." The shuttle landed 50 meters from the cactus. A medical team exited, carrying equipment designed for treating a dozen different species. They approached the massive plant slowly, not sure what to expect. Then the cactus moved out. A section of its skin fell away. It had been cut from the inside. Through the hole, a human woman crawled out into the sunlight. She was covered in amber sap. Her skin showed minor burns from the plant's chemicals. Her hair was matted and wild, but she was alive. Dawa Sherpa stood up slowly. Her muscles were stiff from sleeping in one position for so long. Her throat was dry. Her eyes hurt from the sudden brightness. She looked around at the destruction and understood immediately. The storm had been worse than she expected. Much worse. Human, the medical officer said. He was a tall Salathi with feathered arms and wide eyes. How did you survive in there? The sap should have killed you. Dawa wiped some of the sticky substance from her face. It made my eyes water. It made my throat itch. But it did not kill me. That is impossible. Our databases clearly state that spine mother sap is toxic to all known sentient species. Maybe your databases are wrong. The medical officer ran a scanner over her body. He checked her blood, her organs, her brain activity. Everything was normal. More than normal. She was in better condition than any of the other candidates had been before the storm. This does not make sense, he muttered. Dawa did not care about making sense. She cared about something else. The other candidates, she said. How many survived? The medical officer's feathers flattened against his body. That was a Salathi sign of distress. You're the only one. Dawa felt the words hit her like a physical blow. 14 candidates. All dead. She thought of Bryn, the Gorvathi warrior who had sat with her in the mess hall. He had wanted to see how a human survived. There was a Gorvathi, she said quietly. Large. 4 arms. His name was Bryn. We found him 3 kilometers from here. He was trying to reach this location when the storm caught him. Dawa closed her eyes. Bryn had been coming to help her. He had thought she had no shelter. He had died trying to save her. Can I see him? That would not be advisable. The body is not in good condition. Dawa opened her eyes. They were wet, but she did not cry. Crying could come later. Right now, she needed to remember. He was a good person, she said. He deserves to be remembered. The rescue shuttle lifted off an hour later. Dawa sat in the medical bay, sensors attached to her skin, machines monitoring every function of her body. The doctor still could not believe she was healthy. Through the viewport, she watched the spine mother cactus grow smaller below. It had saved her life. It had sheltered her while everything else died. And in return, she had cut a hole in its side and slept inside it like a parasite. She hoped the cactus would heal. She hoped it would survive another 40 million years. The shuttle docked with a coalition flagship 4 hours later. When Dawa walked down the ramp, she found herself facing a wall of officers and scientists. They all stared at her like she was some kind of miracle. Among them stood Fleet Commander Solon. He was an amphibian Delthrani with gray-green skin and eyes that never seemed to blink. He watched her for a long moment before speaking. You are the human who survived the Sandstorm trial. I am, Dawa replied. I would like to understand how. Dawa looked past him at the stars visible through the viewport. Somewhere out there was Earth, a planet that had tried to kill her species for 200,000 years. A planet that had failed. So would I, she said. The medical bay smelled like chemicals and fear. Dawa sat on an examination table while machines hummed around her. Wires connected her arms to monitors. Sensors tracked her heartbeat, her brain waves, her blood chemistry. A dozen scientists studied the results on holographic displays. 0.3 days had passed since the rescue. 3 days of tests and questions and disbelief. Dr. Yeneth, the avian Salathi biologist, stood closest to Dawa. Her feathers were constantly ruffling with excitement. In her 40 years of xenobiology research, she had never seen anything like this. The results are conclusive, she announced to the room. The spine mother sap contains compounds chemically similar to capsaicin. This is the substance found in earth peppers. Humans are one of the only known species that evolved to process such compounds without harm. Fleet Commander Solon stood in the corner with his arms crossed. So the plant that should have poisoned her actually provided protection. More than protection, Dr. Yeneth replied. The cactus interior maintained 94% humidity during the storm. This created a microclimate that filtered out sand particles. The human was breathing cleaner air inside the toxic plant than she would have breathed in any artificial shelter. Why'd she go into the cactus in the first place? Solon asked. Every piece of training material warned against it. All eyes turned to Dawa. She thought about the question carefully. When I landed, I noticed the animals. They were running toward holes in the ground. They were sealing themselves inside. Everything that lived on Araketh was preparing to hide underground. And the cactus? Solon pressed. The cactus was not hiding. It was standing still. It had survived storms before. Maybe thousands of storms. Millions. I thought if anything knew how to live through what was coming, it was something that had already done it. Silence filled the room. Overseer McCory appeared on a holographic display. He had been monitoring from the orbital station, unable to attend in person. "You are saying you trusted a plant more than coalition technology," he said. "Yes." "Why?" Dawa looked at the insectoid administrator. "Your technology was designed by people who had never experienced a Category 7 storm. The cactus was designed by 40 million years of Category 7 storms. I trusted experience over theory." Dr. Yeneth made a note on her datapad. "This is fascinating. Humans consistently demonstrate a willingness to defer to environmental wisdom rather than technological solutions. We call it common sense," Dawa said. Solon uncrossed his arms and stepped forward. "I have reviewed your planet's ecological history. Earthquakes, tsunamis, ice ages, volcanic winters, mass extinction events. Your species survived all of it with primitive technology. How?" Dawa considered the question. "We expect things to go wrong. We prepare for disaster even when everything looks safe. We do not trust good weather or full bellies or peaceful times. We always assume something is trying to kill us because something usually is." "That sounds exhausting," McCory observed. "It keeps us alive." Solon pulled up a holographic display showing Earth. The blue planet rotated slowly, covered in oceans and clouds and continents. "Your planet has higher gravity than average," he said. "More active tectonics. More extreme weather patterns. More predator species per square kilometer than most inhabited worlds. By coalition standards, Earth is classified as a death world." "We just call it home," Dawa replied. "And yet you do not just survive there. You thrive. You build cities. You develop technology. You spread across every environment from frozen poles to boiling deserts." Solon's unblinking eyes studied her. "How do you explain this contradiction?" Dawa was quiet for a moment. Then she spoke. "My people have a saying: hope for the best, prepare for the worst, and pay attention to what is actually happening. We do not pretend the world is safe when it is not. We do not trust our equipment to save us when our eyes tell us something different. We watch. We learn. We adapt." She paused. The other candidates relied on their technology. When the storm exceeded what their technology could handle, they had nothing left. I relied on observation. The animals told me something was wrong. The cactus told me something had survived this before. I listened. McCory's hologram flickered. "You make it sound simple." "Survival is simple," Dawes said. "It is just not easy." The debrief continued for another 2 hours. Scientists asked about her physical responses, her mental state, the decision-making process. Dawa answered every question as honestly as she could. Finally, the room began to empty. Only Solon remained. "There's one more thing," he said. "You asked about the Gorvathi warrior. Bryn." Dawa's chest tightened. "Yes. He was trying to reach you when he died. His final communication indicated concern for your safety. He thought you had no shelter." "I know." Solon studied her face. "You seem affected by this. He was kind to me when others were not. He died trying to help me when I did not need help. That matters. Among my people, we would say he showed poor judgment. He left a secure position to pursue an emotional response." Dawa met Solon's unblinking eyes. "Among my people, we would say he showed courage. He risked everything for someone he barely knew. That is what makes someone worth remembering." Solon was silent for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. "I am beginning to understand why humans are so dangerous," he said. "We are not dangerous," Dawa replied. "We are just very hard to kill." 6 months changed everything. The Coalition High Council chamber was a massive dome filled with representatives from 300 species. They had gathered to hear Fleet Commander Solon present his findings on human integration into the Ranger programs. Solon stood at the central podium. Behind him, Holographic displays showed footage from Araketh. The storm, the destruction, the single cactus standing in a field of death. Distinguished members of the council, Solon began. 6 months ago, I believe humans were unsuitable for coalition service. They were too primitive, too unpredictable, too limited by their death world origins. He paused. I was wrong. The chamber went quiet. The Sandstorm trial on Araketh killed 14 candidates from 12 advanced species. These candidates had genetic modifications. They had specialized equipment. They had training designed by the best military minds in the coalition. Solon changed the display. A single green light blinked on a biosignature monitor. The human's vital signs during the storm. One candidate survived. A human. She had no modifications. She had no advanced equipment. She had a knife, a blanket, and a water filter. Murmurs spread through the chamber. How did she survive? Solon continued. She paid attention. She watched the animals flee underground. She noticed the cactus standing still. She used 40 million years of plant evolution instead of 40 years of coalition engineering. The display changed again. Images of Earth appeared. Volcanoes erupting. Tsunamis crashing. Ice sheets covering continents. Humans come from a death world. Their planet has tried to kill them for 200,000 years. Earthquakes, plagues, ice ages, mass extinctions. They survived all of it. Not because they are stronger or smarter or faster than other species. They survive because they expect to die. Solon let the words hang in the air. Humans do not prepare for success. They prepare for failure. They assume every situation will go wrong, and they plan accordingly. When our candidates trusted their equipment to save them, the human trusted her observations. When our technology failed, she had already found something better. A council member raised a tentacle. Are you suggesting we abandon technology in favor of primitive instincts? No, Solin replied. I am suggesting we stop underestimating species that survived without technology. The human did not beat the storm by being strong. She beat it by being humble. She admitted she did not know how to survive, and she let something older and wiser protect her. The chamber erupted in debate. Some council members argued that humans were too unpredictable. Others claimed they were too dangerous to trust. Several demanded more research before any decisions were made. Solon raised his hand for silence. I have brought someone who can speak better than I can. The survivor herself. Dawa Sherpa of Earth. The chamber doors opened. Dawa walked down the central aisle. She wore a simple coalition uniform. Her hair was pulled back. Her face showed no fear, no pride, no nervousness. Just calm attention. She reached the podium and faced the 300 species watching her. You want to know how I survived? She said. Her voice was quiet but clear. The answer is simple. I did not survive. The cactus survived. I just happened to be inside it. Silence. The animals of Araketh knew the storm was coming before any sensor detected it. They hid underground and sealed their burrows. The spine mother cactus stood in place because it had evolved to stand in place. It knew something I did not know, so I trusted it. She looked around the chamber. That is not human strength. That is human humility. We know we are small. We know we are weak. We know the universe is trying to kill us every single day. So we pay attention. We watch. We learn. We find things that know more than we do, and we listen to them. A Kathrani council member leaned forward. You speak of humility, yet your species has conquered your entire planet. We did not conquer Earth, Dawa replied. We survived it. There is a difference. Conquerors destroy what they defeat. Survivors learn from what defeats them. The debate continued for another hour. Finally, the council called for a vote. The question was simple. Should humans be approved for expanded ranger candidacy? The votes came in. 212 in favor. 88 opposed. Humans were approved. After the session, Solon found Dawa standing at a viewport. Stars stretched across the darkness like scattered diamonds. You have been offered a position, Solon said, training other species to think like humans, to observe, to adapt, to survive. Dawa nodded slowly. I have been thinking about it, and I keep remembering Bryn, the Gorvathi warrior who died trying to save me. He was strong and brave and confident. He had everything a soldier should have, and he still died. Solon waited. I want to make sure others do not die the same way. I want to teach them what my grandmother taught me. The mountain does not care what you carry. It only cares what you notice. She turned to face Solon. I will take the position. Behind them, footsteps approached. A young Kathrani recruit stopped nervously a few meters away. She had compound eyes like Overseer McCory and legs that clicked softly against the floor. "Excuse me," the recruit said. "I am assigned to the next Ranger trials. I heard about what you did on Araketh. I wanted to ask how I should prepare." Dawa studied the young alien for a moment. Then she smiled. "When you landed on the station," Dawa said, "what did you notice about the cleaning drone's movement patterns?" The recruit blinked in confusion. "I did not notice anything." Dawa nodded. "That is where we start." She walked toward the training wing. The Kathrani recruit followed, already trying to remember what she had seen but not observed. Outside the viewport, the stars continued their endless burning. Somewhere among them, Araketh circled its sun. A spine mother cactus stood alone in the meridian wastes, healing slowly from the worst storm in recorded history. Life continued. It always did. You just had to pay attention.